What's up? It's the Dr. Gamer back at it again with another Marvel's Avengers build video. You know I had to do it. I had to do an official Hawkeye Ronin build. Before we get into it, make sure you smash that like button. It helps with the YouTube algorithm so us little guys can keep up with all the bigger creators. And if you like what you see, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell icon so you never miss a video. All right, so let's just jump right into it because this build is super fun. I'll first just go over some skills and then the gear, and then I'll just leave you with some awesome gameplay footage because it's really, really awesome. They did a great job with his moves. All right, so I don't need to spend too much time on the skills. On the first page, the only thing you really need to worry about is Swordsman's Prodigy, which is his intrinsic heavy. But you grapple to an enemy, and you hit him with a sword slash, and there's an upgrade that lets you follow it up with another attack to launch them in the air. This does pretty decent damage, especially with the high melee rating. But when you combine this with another skill, Parting Gifts, here in the mastery tree, it actually plants an explosive on the enemy. So it does even more damage, it breaks blocks, and you can just absolutely just destroy robots on this. The other combos you might want to look into on the first page is the suspension arrow. This is really great for crowd control. It's just square 4 times followed by triangle. After the light combo, he just shoots a arrow that suspends the enemies in the air, and it's a lingering effect as well. So it can really help you get out of a jam when you're just mixing it up. So definitely something you want to use, as well as his implosion arrow. It lets you clear some space and sucks the enemies in and it breaks guard as well. So definitely worth checking out. All right, so here's my heroic setup. It's pretty similar to my range setup. I just changed some things up. I got the nanite shield for the support, just to eat some incoming damage, because I'll be mixing it up a lot rather than shooting from a distance with range. So that can come in handy. But heroic recharge is the same. 30% chance defeating enemies within a swarm. Drop a heroic orb. It's pretty good. And I definitely like having my heroics on this build. Assault, we got Fire Devil. You already know. Just use it. It's awesome. And for the second tree, though, I have Falling Sky, which just increases the duration of the Night Storm arrow, so I can suck them up into the fire tornado for a little bit longer. It's very cool. I like it a lot. Enough said. For the assault, for the ultimate, I went with I kept Bird in the Hand, defeating, so 25% chance to drop a heroic orb. But I think for this build, Hunter's Resolve is probably a little bit better, just because Hunter's Arrow, even on the range, doesn't do that much, and we're going to be mixing it up with the swords a lot. And Dive Bomb goes well with that, because when the Hunter's Arrow hits, it plants an explosive on the enemies, and you can just go in on them from there. It makes your melee attacks do even more damage than they normally would. So definitely prefer dive bomb. The other two don't really jive well with this build. Mastery tree, I kept stunning show, increased stun damage of all melee attacks by 20%. This is incredibly good. You're going to be getting a lot of takedowns when you're not just outright cutting enemies in half, because the melee rating is pretty high, but it is very good. It comes up a lot. For this one, I have increased damage of all combo finishers by 50%. You do a lot of combo finishers on this build, so it definitely helps to have that extra 15% to really drive it home. And of course, heroic burst, performer takedown generates a heroic orb. You already know, just run it. I kept the range tree the same because I have a really good gear perk for my cluster arrows. So cluster arrows are really good for crowd control. You can sweep enemies off their feet. It's pretty good for enemies with shields that will normally block your melee attacks. So you just do your tripwire, knock them off their feet. It's great. Intrinsic, I kept the same. I went over parting gifts earlier, but also kept energy boost, increases base regeneration by 25%, and this tree doesn't really matter. It's all for your parries. I don't parry all that often in terms of attacks, so I just kept off balance. Inflicts 20% more stun damage to parried enemies. It's fine. You can pick wherever you want. Intrinsic, I basically just use these two trees to optimize my overcharge energy. It reduces the amount of overcharge energy drain when taking damage by 25%, and I basically have that 2 times, so which ends up being a 50% reduction, which it's very noticeable. You get overcharged very easily on this build, and with these active, when you take a couple of hits, you can still stay in your overcharge. And this one increased critical attack damage by 20% while overcharge. I like it, doing extra damage. Now, moving on to the gear, I got some decent pieces. I got this one. Basically, I got it for the stats. Might resolve. That's mainly what you're looking for, but this is pretty good. 30% increased status damage while overcharge, and you get an 18% chance a light combo finisher grants a damage buff. You do a lot of light combo finishers, so that's pretty good. And got the split shot that does gamma. I'm definitely looking for a split shot that does particle, but it works fine with this build because I have my refined combat lance, which ranged attacks with cluster arrows do particle, and you got the 20% increased firing speed and charge time. It's so fast. It's really, really awesome at crowd control. I love this piece. I believe I got it from a villain sector. You should definitely try to farm for it. It's really fun if you're trying to abuse the cluster arrows. This piece, I mainly got it for the stats. It rolled high might and resolve, but reactive graviton explosion is a really good perk, especially on a melee focused build. 50% chance taking damage triggers an anti-gravity field, and essentially, when you take damage, it actually causes enemies to hover in the air, which actually happens quite a bit on this build. You're constantly mixing it up in crowds, so if someone hits you, you can just suspend them in the air and then just jump up and just cut them up with your air combos. It's really fun. And for the last piece here, we got the heavyweight blitz kit. Defeat 3 enemies in rapid succession, grants a damage buff, and 16% increased damage from heavy combo finishers. I'm a fan of the Rampage damage buff. Once again, mainly got it for Might and Resolve, but it gets the job done. I actually kind of prefer the Berserker buff. So if I can get a gear piece with Might and Resolve that has the Berserker buff, I prefer that, just because you get with Hawkeye, you can do a lot of attacks without getting hit, between his super fast melee combos and the bag of tricks. You can basically have this buff up all the time. Now for the artifacts, perks don't really matter, but this one's pretty good. 50% increased stun damage from light combo finishers, and I mainly just got them both because triple might. That's what you want. Now for the major artifacts, this one can come down to personal preference and the situation. I like Ring of Nebelong because I like having my heroics with this build a little more often, because I'm not relying on range, and the abilities can be pretty good. You can also alternatively go with Nornstone of Lethal Will, to really maximize those damage buffs. This might be really good for a boss. And you could also go with Void Tech Transponder if you unlock that, just to summon Hang Pym and take advantage of any Pym particle gear pieces you have. But I prefer Ring of Nebelong so far. It suits me well, and that's pretty much it. It's I'm probably still looking for some more pieces to optimize it. Overall, I'd have to say I still prefer the range in terms of DPS potential. I think range does more damage and keeps you safer, but melee is super fun. You feel like a total badass when you're moving through crowds of enemies, just carving them up. It's awesome. I definitely recommend giving it a try. So now we'll get into some gameplay just to see it in action a little more. Thank you once again for tuning in. Make sure you hit that like button if you haven't already, and subscribe. And I will see you next time.
All right, bring it on. Enemy neutralized.
pre-battle records. Marking the location now.
Got them in my sight. Challenge accepted. Stay down.
Area of interest is nearby. This Kree giant appears to have been defeated by shield weaponry. Defeating them through conventional methods may be more likely than expected. I'm receiving a Kree signal. The source should be close to your location.
We're not alone here. Good thing I brought enough arrows for everyone. Not even close. Got eyes on the enemy.
You are not alone. Be on your guard, Avengers. sentries are fitted with auto-repair functions and capable of light-speed communications. The Kree are more advanced than expected. Oh, worrying. I'm detecting more hostiles nearby. Be careful, Avengers.
I feel like your heart wasn't in this.
Detecting a large quantity of enemy signatures. Prepare for the battle.
Not even close. Try and dodge this.
Indicate these giants were constructed over 2,000 years ago. This data is extremely valuable. Great work, Avengers.